In the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, many villains appear powerful, dangerous, and terrifying. But very few operate on the level of pure strategy. While most antagonists rely on strength or chaos, one character has been quietly manipulating the entire Jujutsu world for centuries. That character is Kenjaku. At first glance, Kenjaku might seem like just another ancient sorcerer with dangerous plans. But when you start connecting the events of the story, a much bigger picture begins to appear. Because the more we learn about Kenjaku, the more it feels like everything that happened in the series was part of his design. And the question is, why? Kenjaku's ability allows him to transplant his brain into other bodies, effectively letting him live for hundreds of years. Over time, he has taken over many different sorcerers, gaining knowledge, influence, and access to powerful techniques. But immortality alone wasn't his goal. Kenjaku wasn't just surviving through history, he was studying humanity. Throughout the story, Kenjaku repeatedly mentions one idea: the evolution of cursed energy. He believes humanity has not yet reached its true potential, and that the relationship between humans and cursed energy can still evolve into something far greater. But the problem is that evolution doesn't happen peacefully. It happens through chaos. This is where Kenjaku's true plan begins to make sense. Many of the biggest events in the series appear random at first, but they all serve the same purpose: pushing humanity into a massive crisis involving cursed energy. One of the biggest examples is the creation of Yuji Itadori. Yuji wasn't just a random teenager who happened to swallow a cursed object. The truth is far more disturbing. Kenjaku was directly responsible for Yuji's birth, meaning the vessel for Ryomen Sukuna was part of his plan from the very beginning. Why would Kenjaku want Sukuna to return? Because Sukuna represents something unique in the Jujutsu world. Unlike modern sorcerers, Sukuna comes from an era where cursed energy was far more powerful and far more brutal. Bringing him back introduces an unpredictable force capable of reshaping the balance of power. But Sukuna was only one piece of a much larger plan. Kenjaku also orchestrated one of the most devastating events in the series, the Shibuya incident. During this chaos, the strongest modern sorcerer, Satoru Gojo, was sealed away using the prison realm. Removing Gojo from the battlefield wasn't just a tactical move, it was a necessary step to allow the world to fall into disorder. With Gojo gone, the balance between curses and sorcerers collapsed. And that collapse created the perfect environment for Kenjaku's next phase: the culling game. The culling game forces thousands of people into deadly battles using cursed techniques. But this isn't just a cruel tournament, it's essentially a giant experiment designed to push humans and sorcerers to their absolute limits. Kenjaku believes that by forcing people into extreme situations, cursed energy will evolve. New abilities will appear, stronger fighters will emerge, and humanity will take the next step in its development. In other words, Kenjaku isn't simply trying to destroy the world, he's trying to force it to evolve. And this is what makes him one of the most dangerous characters in Jujutsu Kaisen. Unlike villains driven by revenge or greed, Kenjaku operates with a long-term vision that spans centuries. He doesn't care how many lives are lost, he doesn't care how much destruction happens. To him, humanity is just part of a massive experiment, and if that experiment succeeds, the world of Jujutsu may never look the same again. Which raises an even more terrifying possibility. What if every major conflict in the series, the rise of Sukuna, the fall of Gojo, the chaos of the culling game, was never random? What if it was all simply steps in a plan that Kenjaku has been preparing for hundreds of years? Because if that's true, then the characters in Jujutsu Kaisen might not just be fighting curses. They might be fighting Kenjaku's perfectly designed future.